Hello, and welcome to a very gloomy October day. Great for vibes, not great for pretty much everything else. Want to see what it looks like without lights? Okay. It is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I tell ya. Anyway, here. If you are watching this when it comes out, happy Halloween. So thus far, I feel like my content for the past couple months has been strictly autumnal. I think it's time we switch it up. Oh, that didn't work.
Wow.
It's time to get whimsical. Something you may know about me is that I am an absolute sap for anthropomorphized things. Animals that look like people, I love it. I just love it. In 2020, American Duchess came out with this cloak. Tons of people made it. It's absolutely amazing. It reminds me of Lando Calrissian. Love it. And I thought, how freaking adorable would it be if you took that but made it into bat wings? And so here we are.
Piggybacking off of the design of this cape, I'm going to modify it, obviously, so it looks like bat wings. The simple route to this would be to make it all black, but I'm actually going to do black and brown. Some bats look like that, and I just think it's the cutest thing in the entire universe. Because I yearn to be a little bat girl. I'm going to turn this into a whole character, kind of like a little bat 1920s showgirl, which I guess is kind of similar to my But Make It Vintage Mothman, but I don't know, maybe it's the same girl, but a different act. Huh?
As the resident trash goblin, I would very much like to use recycled materials for this. And so that means that we do have to venture out into this monsoon to the thrift store in search of black and brown fabrics. I'll let it speak to me. You ready? Let's go. The vibes I bring to the function. Not gonna lie, that was kind of a bust. I did get the brown fabric, which is good. I was looking for something a little see-through because bat wings are a tiny bit transparent. So I did luck out with that. And I got this for $3 because I thought it was pretty. Don't look at me. I know I just spent many hours of effort trying to whittle down my fabric stash, but it's pretty. And then this. I don't know yet if I want my Batgirl to have like a fur something around the neck, but I figured if not, I could make a little guy or multiple little guys out of this. It's always good to have. That leaves the black fabric. They had literally no black curtains, no black bed sheets, nothing. So I have some black velvet that I think maybe could work. If I have enough faux leather black, I would love to make those crossover straps in that, because that kind of feels very batty to me. Our next step is to acquire the pattern. Whoa, God. The rug slipped out from underneath me, and I think you could hear that hip crack from Indonesia. Thankfully, American Duchess has this pattern for free. So you just download the PDF and print it out. Which is nice, because I'm a cheap ass bitch. Shall we?
Now this is where things got a little bit complicated.
I don't know how to do this.
Basically, every pattern that I've ever downloaded and printed was already sized correctly so that when you print it, it kind of tiles it. This was not the case for this. They did tell you that each square was 1 inch. Initially, I tried to print this out using Photoshop, but I could not figure out how to tile it, so I did end up moving it to Adobe Acrobat, and that let me tile it. But it did require me guessing on the percentage of sizing that I needed to do and printing it out just to check, resizing it, and then printing it out again and again and again. Eventually, after very many test prints, I figured it out. I think it was 440%. I was able to send the job to my printer, which was 20 pages. But oh no, it's not that easy. For some reason, my printer just could not handle this and gave up like 1/3 of the way through every single time. And after trying this about 3 or 4 times, I just gave up and decided to start making the pattern with what I had, and I would just make up the rest. Here's some real-time footage of my brain melting. Eventually though, I managed to piece together what my printer did print, and then had to assess what I needed to draw. And so, referencing it on my phone, because every square is an inch, I just hand drew it and hoped for the best. Even though this took more hours than I had allotted to this task, and it still didn't even print out the sleeve pattern, at least I had something and I could move on.
The dreams remind me I left my heart behind me by the dear old river ride.
Did I have a little bit of a mental breakdown yesterday and some choice words for my printer? I'll never tell. I did. But we're back. Everything's fine. Okay, I have had some difficulties with the pattern, which was supposed to be the easy part of this project. Much like me, my printer's mental capacity is officially... We will persevere. What I need to do is just draw out the sleeve, depending on how many squares are in it. It's fine. I'm going to modify this enough that I think it's probably okay. As long as I have the general shape. We got this, team. Let's go.
Now, obviously, this process was not ideal, but I think it turned out fine for what I had to do with a couple adjustments.
Not bad.
And then it was time to make it a little baddie. Somehow I always forget that cutting velvet is the actual devil. But once I sucked up those velvet soot sprites, I moved on to the brown fabric and repeated the entire process. Then it was time for the front wraps. I chose velvet for the bottom and then the extra faux leather that I think I had from my Jeff Goldblum skirt for the outer layer.
Ow.
Where's the other side?
Boink.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some wear wings. This is kind of the idea.
What do we think? All right, boring stuff over. Now I need to figure out how to make this actually look like bat wings.
So we have this as the middle layer, but then we have an outer layer and a lining of the velvet.
And what I need to do is figure out a good way to sandwich this in between those two so that the black will kind of go like this. Like that. Oops, it's the next day. I'm staying in my PJs today. And if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with HR. The reason that it is now the next day, I did decide to add a lining layer onto the wing. I did this because you could see all the seams. Didn't know how I was gonna hem the bottom of this. So adding a lining layer took care of that. So now all the seams are contained. The hem is actually looking pretty good because I was able to just turn it inside out. That does mean it's not as see-through as I would like, but that's okay. On the docket for today is the fun stuff. Sandwich this in between the two velvet layers. I think what I'm gonna do is modify the pattern pieces to look like that. I don't know exactly how I'm going to stitch that. I think I might have to hand stitch, but let me show you what this looks like. Hey, my knees didn't crack. Am I getting younger? Do you think when a vampire is turned in their 30s, do you think they are cursed with crunchy knees Or does it revert back to like just lubricated joints? That would be funny if they were like, I have entered into eternal life. And also, my knees do not echo throughout the halls like a symphony when I stand up. What am I even talking about? All right. So these only go to about here. Come on closer, babe, so I can echolocate. I kind of just want to wear this all the time.
I started doing all of the little fingers and veins and stuff, but then I decided that would probably look weird. I switched to cutting out just this one T shape. And then it dawned on me that this looked vaguely familiar.
Return the slab.
The lining and the outer layer of the wing was a little floopy, so I decided just to stitch them together. Yet another activity that turned my brain cells into a gelatinous gumbo was trying to figure out what order to put all of these linings, outer layers. I'm a very tactical person and I had to do it a bunch of times before I figured it out. So my proper order was brown wings, black outer layer facing down, wraps facing upside down, and then the inner black layer also facing upside down.
By Jove. I think I might have done it. At least the base anyways. Obviously, this needs to be attached and stuffed. It's not bad. Look like a bat Jedi. Let's continue.
Sandwiching ended up being a little tricky. I basically folded each side exactly the same so that they would line up when I stitched right through. I tell you, it does not matter how many times I try to have decent posture while I'm sewing. As it goes on, I just slowly, I am one with the stitch. So I'm gonna focus on finishing this up for today. I know I said that today was the fun stuff. I actually lied. Tomorrow is the fun stuff. We can start making everything look a little bit more whimsical. We can make the bat ears, huh? See you tomorrow. I need you to know I had every intention of showering and washing my hair and dressing like a normal person today, but then I remembered that I bought this a few years ago and I've never worn it. I hope that clears things up. I got some progress done on hand sewing. Arm sections, they're looking quite cute and they're quite puffy, which is exactly what I wanted. I don't even think I'll have to stuff these. I still have to do the hand sewing on the back portions. I don't feel like doing that because that's gonna take precious time that I need today. So I'll do that for one of the last steps, maybe work on that this weekend or something. Would it be a me project if I didn't slap some fabric paint on something? So what we're gonna do, emphasize the little veins, cartilage, fingers, bones, I don't know. Essentially, these lines that I stitched, I'm just gonna darken them so that you can really see them when I hold my wingspan up. And then once that's done, we can make some ears, not too dissimilar from this. The fact that I haven't worn this yet is an absolute travesty. It's a little tight. Let's get to work. I realize this may be the point of the project where you're like, Pa, she's got into the fabric paint again. And you are so valid in feeling that way. The fabric paint definitely skirts the line of like wearable versus costume. That line is microscopic for me. I'm kind of in a point in my life where I want my outfits to cause a reaction similar to Tom DeLonge in the What's My Age Again music video.
Are you ready to make some ears? I think for this, I must derobe. I have this black headband. I'm just gonna glue the ears onto. Easy peasy. I've got some scrap EVA foam and a general idea of what bat ears look like, but I will look up a picture. There are so many types of ears. I'm just gonna choose one and we'll make a sort of our own version of this. I'm gonna choose this little guy because, oh my God, he is so cute. So I do want them to be just about this tall, which is actually pretty convenient. Go out like this and then do a little. I have to make these bigger than I kind of want because I'm gonna be curling them inwards, so they're not gonna be quite as big. I'm just gonna cut it out and see it. Wow, that was easy. All right. Okay. I really don't wanna go get my heat gun. This actually works. She has cooked a 3-course dinner. Cosplay, pioneer style. Eh? Hey. And then I'm just gonna take the inner section and fold it over like that, and then glue this.
To add these little ribbed sections on the outside of the ear, and I just decided to paint them to make them look a little three-dimensional. I am super happy with how these came out. They're a little Momo from Avatar, but you know what? That's quite fine with me. Then it was time to add a little bit of hair. Everything is just about finished up, and we can move on to the reveal. Would you like to see my wingspan? Are you not impressed?
Here it is, my final project of this Maksoween season. Thoughts? Yes. What went well? What didn't go well? I'm about to rip these fangs out my dang mouth. I think it came out very, very cute. I think this will really confuse people, which is what I want. Let me reframe this so you're not just staring at my noodle legs. A couple things though, which might be the pattern, it might be the material that I used. A little slidey. Sometimes when I was looking back at the shot of this, it might even be the case now where it looks crooked, like my little bat body. If I just like readjust, it's back to center. And I think that's because the straps keep kind of like, I don't know who this pattern was designed for, but it was so tiny. In the back, there is no way that I could have made it work to clasp together. So I did have to add these little straps onto the ends. They can loop around and then I can tie it. So that might also be why it's a little lopsided and a little weird, because the pattern is not really designed to do that. It's pretty sure it's designed to clasp and stay in place. I did add this, which I will take off so you can see what it actually looks like. A little funky. I think I actually have to retie this, hold on. And I didn't do the collar, so it's gonna look a little different, but like basically you have to get those on your shoulder seams. So this needs to go, yeah, it's just a little bit of like adjusting before you actually tighten things, I think. All right. It's like taking off your mouth guard, field hockey. That is it. It's bittersweet that October is over. It's my favorite month of the year, but it's also my most stressful month. So thank you for being patient. I am going to take a big ol' juicy fat nap. All of my Maksoween looks can be found on Instagram, some are on TikTok. Patreon has a lot of behind the scenes. More than half of the Maksoween looks, either the makeup transformation or the behind the scenes, is up on Patreon. And as for me, I need to catch a train to New York City.
This old bat's on her way to Broadway.
All right, that's enough of that. I love you so very much. Whether you're new or old to this channel, if you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. I upload every other Friday, and we have fun here. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! That rain is so loud. Once again. All right, son, can we decide what we're doing here? I'm not gonna lie. That move kind of made me feel like the Ina Garden of gospel.